here with Tod Monsen over at Rock Canyon Bank, the finest bank in Utah County and South.
Yeah, maybe on the planet.
Maybe most likely on the planet. Yes, for sure on the planet. Where they've experienced some amazing growth. Typically, especially in this region, nobody's growing over 6%, yet your bank has been able to grow above 25+% growth that you've been experiencing.
Yeah, that's correct. The last couple quarters of the year we grew 26%, I think, at the end of last year or the year before last now, and another 28% the first quarter of 2015.
Wow, that's just absolutely phenomenal. Speaks a lot to you as a leader and a manager, the president of this bank. That's phenomenal. Give us a little bit of information and knowledge about the bank here.
That was bad, sorry.
No, you're good. Give us a little bit of knowledge
kind of a background?
and background of the bank. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we started Rock Canyon Bank in June of 2010, which was a really difficult time in banking. The industry was experiencing some issues, but it really was a great time for us. It was the perfect time for us to start. And our reason for wanting to start our own bank and to do that was that we felt like that the customer service part of banking and the relationship part of banking was going away a little bit. Community banks were fewer and fewer, and we just felt really strongly that if we had a bank where we could really serve people and take care of them and treat them like they mattered, like a person, that we would do well. And so kind of starting when we did, we purchased an existing bank that was going through some struggles and had some issues, but it was good timing for that, and we were able to take an existing bank with a legacy of customers and a history, and grow, bring in our culture, make those changes, and grow from there. The thought process was originally to start our own bank, to start from scratch, to obtain a charter and go forward, and that wasn't working out so well, but it was a blessing in disguise, because by picking up an existing organization, there was a huge legacy there, and we were able to move forward quicker by having, starting with a bank that was in place rather than starting from scratch.
Yeah, wow, what an amazing opportunity, and for you to be able to take that bank and to turn things around. You mentioned a little bit about the environment, what was happening at the time. I mean, at the time, banks were failing. Banks were going out of business, and essentially there was a hold on. No new banks could start out of this. So your understanding, your knowledge, and your ability with the experience that you have to be able to acquire a bank and to grow it, what a phenomenal thing. And coming out of that, it didn't get much better. Banking is still even more highly regulated than back then because of the issues that were arising during that time.
Right.
And as a leader, there's some big challenges in the banking industry. As you look to grow a bank, what are the principles that you're looking to? How do you do that? How did you accomplish that?
Yeah. In fact, the pendulum had been pushed so far to the regulatory side, to trying to fix this system, that it was way overdone, and still is to this day, if you ask me. But how did we do that? I think by establishing a culture where we were serving our customers. There's not a community, there's not a state, and I don't think there's a nation that can do well without the support of a community bank that's there to help business people and consumers and people go forward with their businesses. And so we established a culture where we were able to help people, and we're not like most banks. We do have loan committees, and we do have the regulatory side of it. So there's things we can and can't do. But when people come to us with a need, a banking need, then we look at that and we try to find a way to make it work. And sometimes, it takes time and it takes patience, and sometimes we have to say no, but usually we can find a way to mitigate the concerns and to make something work with people. And I'm not saying that other banks aren't good at that, but maybe they don't have the structure or the culture that allows that to happen like it does here. The other thing that is frustrating, I think, to a lot of people, and something that we've tried to be mindful of, is the red tape that's involved in working with a bank. Sometimes it's just almost overwhelming, and it's frustrating, and people give up on the process because it just seems to be too onerous. But we've tried to be nimble and quick and responsive, and also minimize the red tape and minimize the process and help our customers with the burden of preparing a loan or preparing a request, so that we're a partner rather than taking an order and trying to fill it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. Before I even knew and was a part of helping with the growth that you guys have experienced, just the things that I've heard from the community about how Rock Canyon Bank take care of their people, not just their employees,
Mm-hmm.
but the people who bank here as well. And that culture that you've created for your employees, and how it seeps over to the customers that you service here in this community,
Mm-hmm.
is just fabulous. You've done a wonderful job of building that culture. I loved how you talked about, the systems and processes that you need in place to be able to create the culture, but also to make sure that we're satisfying the regulations in this space as well.
Right.
And as I remember, that was one of the reasons why you turned to Griffin Hill, is to help build and solidify that culture with
Yes.
with processes.
Yes.
How did that help you, and how has that helped you as you built processes like that?
Yeah. Boy, it has helped us a ton in a lot of different ways, and it's continuing to help us going forward. A lot of banks do training, and they get their employees in, and they get the people, and they send them off to training on how to analyze financial statements, or kind of technical things. And as we were talking about our bank and how we wanted to improve our customer service, we realized that maybe we didn't need training in those aspects of banking. Where we really needed training or help and some insight was in dealing with our customers and serving them and taking care of them. I think very seldom do banks, or maybe other companies, spend the same amount of time on the training and the growth of their customer service as they do maybe the products that they offer. So the Griffin Hill program, we were very impressed and appreciative of the program because it helped us all learn to be better at serving our customers, and finding out what the customers really needed, what were they looking for, fulfilling those needs, following up to make sure that we don't drop the ball or that we don't leave them hanging, and then working with that customer to enhance that relationship, whether that means more business with that customer or business with some of their associates. And so that was huge for us, and always has been and always will be, and we appreciate that process. So we just really felt like that has helped us be competitive and really live the culture that we did this because we wanted to improve the culture. We wanted to improve the service of our customers. We tell everybody when you come and bank here, it's going to be a different experience than you've ever had at a bank, and we want to be honest about that, and we want them when they get here to leave knowing that they've been well cared for and that it was a different experience than they had expected. But the main thing about that is, and what I loved about the Griffin Hill program and process and structure, was that it was uniform and consistent amongst the entire bank. And we started with 39 employees, and we're at 102 now. We have a branch in St. George, and 5 branches. So to keep the culture, keep the consistency is more difficult than ever. But we were talking on the same page. The Griffin Hill program put us all together so that when we talked about something or had a process for working with our customers, it was consistent, the same, and uniform. And that was really helpful. But I think one of the most helpful things, and one of the weeks of the month was about reporting and holding people accountable and seeing how they're doing, and maybe their peers seeing how they're doing in comparison to others. And that reporting process was also huge. I think people remembered that they had to report on what they had done and how they were doing, and it motivated them.
How did that focus on the metrics, on those outcomes, on the systematic approach? We measured the process and,
right.
and the structure and the plays between that. How did that focus change the environment and enhance the culture at Rock Canyon Bank?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways, probably those that seemed the most important or helpful, like I say, was uniform. We were all measuring the same things. We weren't just measuring a close or a sale or a new account or a new relationship. We were measuring the steps, the exact same steps along the way throughout the process. So, maybe we knew how many loans we'd close that month. We knew how many deposits we'd open, but also we knew how many people we'd met with, how many we had presented a loan to or spoken with, and how many of them, had concerns, and how did we work through that. So
that's cool.
I think being able to break it down into not just sales, but all the steps along the way was huge. And when you're measuring the steps, then the results just come together by themselves.
I love that. One of the other aspects, I know that you and I have talked about this on occasion. I've heard this from other members who participated in the Griffin Hill training. Part of process, plays help enable those process steps,
Mm-hmm.
and so plays play a big piece in what Griffin Hill does. And one of those plays is that schedule next event.
Yeah.
Talk to me about how that play influenced the thought and the culture inside of your organization.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because in my mind, and we're all different, everybody took different bits and pieces away from it. That was the most critical, the schedule the next event. And I think that one of the biggest issues with sales, and I've just been in banking all my career, so I'll relate it to banking, but it probably, I think, would permeate amongst any company or any sales force, is that the people are busy, the employees are busy. Sometimes, they get overwhelmed, but always have reasons to try to just take care of the customer's immediate needs, kind of, send them, basically, I guess good analogy is put the ball in their court and say, go ahead, take the ball and go do these things, and then come back and talk to me. And I think that's problematic. I think that's the wrong way to work with customers, is to say, here, to get you out of my hair, go get these financials, or do these things. It's your job now, and I'm going to go work on these other things, and you come back to me when you're ready. And that's something that, as the bank president, that I wanted to make sure didn't happen. Yeah. I just think that's not a good plan. And so, schedule next event meant that you didn't just give them some assignments and send them away and say, come back when you're finished. You gave them assignments, you scheduled the next time you're going to meet, you followed through, and it kept the employees, the officers, the people working with those customers, it kept their focus. It kept them going forward, and not just, hey, I'm busy, here you go, take this and run with it, come and get me when you're finished, and forgetting about them till the next time. So if that was the one most critical thing, then, and it's something that I guess maybe is a pet peeve of mine, something that really frustrates me if I see an employee doing that. And so for you to kind of put that in words and to be able to, you never finished any of the steps, nothing ever happened until you scheduled the next event.
Yeah.
Set expectations in the mind of the customer and also in the mind of the employee. So I think that's huge. And if we're going to be nimble, if we're going to be a bank that says we take care of people, we're not order takers, we're here to assist you, then we've got to schedule the next event. We've got to be the ones moving forward and contacting the customer.
Love how you worded that. Such a problem, especially in that loan process of just sending people away thinking they'll get back to me when we're ready. When we know as a human and organizational performance company, we know we perform to deadlines.
Yeah.
And so that schedule next event, it changes the culture. It shifts the culture in a positive way that, number one, our customers are really taken care of. And number two, they know what to expect and what the next steps are. And number three, as a bank, we don't lose the customer.
Right.
We maintain the customer,
Right.
and they want to come and do repeat business with us.
We're always proactive. We're always moving forward. We're always on the offense.
Yeah.
We're not just waiting and sitting. And when you wait and sit, I think 90% of the time, the customer finds somewhere else to go where someone's going to be more active with them.
Well, Todd, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate it. You have a wonderful bank full of employees who are there to take care of your customers. So
Thank you.
That's what I always recommend if I see anyone who's looking for a bank.
Thank you.
You're the place to bank with because you know how to take care of people.
Thank you. And we just had our year-end meeting, Christmas meeting at the end of 2015. And it was fun to get up in front of the staff and their spouses and all the employees and their spouses and say, we had this passion, we had a dream 5.5 years ago of creating a bank that's a place where people come and they feel like they matter, they feel like they're cared about, they feel like it's a partnership. And I said, you know what, we've done it. The bank has done what we dreamt we'd do. Now we've stubbed our toe occasionally, and we always need to be working hard to do better. But I really feel like we've fulfilled that goal and that we've made that. And I think I know the Griffin Hill program was a big step in that direction.